Final Destination, as harmless as the name sounds, depicts the final journey of any living being to the land of death. Its release in 2000 brought shock, thrill, and many other emotions when the audiences first watched it. Directed by James Wong and written by Wong, Glenn Morgan, and Jeffrey Riddick, Final Destination came out in March 2000 and became a commercial hit, collecting $10 million in the first week. After 2.5 decades, the movie still has a huge fan following. How did they come so far? Here's ranking each of the Final Destination releases in a best to last order. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Number 1. Final Destination, 2000, the one that started it all. The first installment will always remain the most memorable because it's based on a unique plot where the protagonist, Alex, gets a premonition about a plane crash right before boarding the same plane. He alerts his friends, his best friend Todd, his rival Carter, Carter's girlfriend Terry, teacher Valerie Luton, and students Billy Hitchcock and Clear Rivers traveling with him as scenes from his nightmare unfold in the real world. The only alternative is to alight the plane and run. They escape while the rest on board lose their lives, in the same way as Alex had seen it, a gruesome plane crash. The movie starred Devon Sawa, Ali Larter, Kerr Smith, and Tony Todd. The whole phenomenon of dodging death from an unknown force made the narrative an edge-of-the-seat thriller. The visual effects of the plane crash were praiseworthy, and the horrific psychological play of the threat unfolding was phenomenal. This is a movie about death, and the ranking isn't complete if we don't mention the most horrendous death apart from the plane crash shown in the film. That one being of Todd, who's found hanging in his shower. While most conclude his death as suicide, the mortician, William Bloodworth, in charge of the funeral, makes a statement that gets the rest thinking. If one who is destined to die and features on death's list, then come what may, death will catch up with the victim. Todd was one of them who escaped the plane crash, and now he had met his fate. This movie ranks first on our list, wherein a premonition unravels a chilling tale of cheating death. It's a first-of-its-kind idea where the bad guy here is not some hideous-looking villain, but an unknown force called death. It breaks all the tropes of horror movie storytelling. The turning point in the storyline is Todd's death, which triggers extreme fear among the rest, who feel the heat of the bad guy. From here on, it's an unpredictable game of panic and exhaustion, running away from none other than death himself. Number 2. Final Destination 2, 2003, The Best Deaths. A sequel to the first installment, Final Destination 2 was released in January 2003. That was the best mix of everything that worked in the first one. David R. Ellis wrote and directed the movie. Gruber, Bress, and Jeffrey Riddick were the story writers. The film starred Ali Larter, A.J. Cook, and Michael Lands. The plot's theme takes off from where it left off in the first installment, i.e., a year after the explosion of Flight 180. It's springtime, and a college student named Kimberly Corman heads toward Daytona Beach in Florida for a break with her friends Shayna McClank, Dano Estevez, and Frankie Whitman. As the chirpy youngsters wait by the ramp of US Route 23, Kimberly gets a vision of a horrendous accident resulting in a deadly pileup of cars. Scared, she stops a whole lot of people from entering the highway, but the accident happens anyway, and all her friends die. And now, the people who Kimberly had stopped from entering begin to die. Still, in the reverse order, Kimberly and one of the witnesses to the accident, Thomas Burke, question the peculiarity of the accidents and the deaths. This film ranks second on our list, due to the continuity maintained in the storyline being true to the fanbase. Kimberly, the survivor in this narrative, connects with Clear River, one of the survivors of the Flight 180 accident. Clear had now checked into a mental rehabilitation center to dodge death. With Clear's help, Kimberly and Burke seek a solution to this deathly chase. The most iconic visual of the movie is the way the accident on the highway is picturized. A massive truck carrying logs rolls over, and the wooden logs tumble along getting under the cars speeding on the same road, resulting in a bloody pileup of vehicles and loss of lives. The flames from the blow-up billow up like an inferno, and everything perishes in the dark cloud of the unknown attacker's death. The accident forms the movie's opening, which stands out as one of the best in the history of stunts, setting the movie's tone without a dull moment to spare. Number 3. Final Destination 5, 2011, a surprise comeback. It's rare to see a film series released over a decade ago manage to sustain interest among its audience. Final Destination does that with finesse, offering its 5th installment after the 2009 release. We note a crew change here. Stephen Quayle directed the movie, and the screenplay is written by Eric Heiserer. The film starred Nicholas D'Agosto, Tony Todd, Emma Bell, Miles Fisher, Arlen Escarpeta, and David Koechner. The plot follows a corporate employee named Sam Luton traveling to a company off-site with his colleagues. As their bus drives past the North Bay Bridge, Sam gets a sudden premonition that the bridge ahead will collapse, owing to irate winds, and take down everyone to the land of death. His ex-girlfriend Molly Harper would, however, survive. A panic-stricken Sam warns and pleads with everyone, including Molly and his friends Nathan, Peter, Peter's girlfriend Candace, and his boss Dennis, and peers Olivia and Isaac, to jump out before the bridge collapses. The survivors attend the funeral of the ones who couldn't make it, but a few days later, the first of the survivors, Candace, dies in a freak accident, followed by Isaac, and so on. This movie made it to our list for a couple of reasons, the first being the death premonition sequence. This time it wasn't a crash or a massive accident, but a collapse, a bridge collapse that was so real. There wasn't a soul in the movie who didn't get the chills. The way the bus fell and the tar road crashed felt intensely scary. The 3D effects further reinforced a near-death experience. The second was the hack to cheat death. One needed to kill another to get their lifespan. And the third was a plot twist at the end that connected this to the first installment. In many ways, Final Destination 5 felt like a prequel, and it did a good job of it. Number 4. Final Destination Bloodlines 2025. Final Destination Bloodlines is the 6th installment added to the successful franchise that's based on John Watts' story. Zach Lepowski directed the movie along with Adam Stein. The movie was written by Laurie Evans Taylor and Guy Busick. The movie has Caitlin Santo-Juan cast as the lead, who plays a college student named Stephanie Reyes, cursed with her grandmother Iris Campbell's unwanted fear of death premonitions. She tries to save her family as they drop dead one by one. Caitlin is supported with a cast, namely Tio Briones, Breck Bassinger, Rick Harmon, and Tony Todd. As per the makers, Final Destination Bloodlines was aimed to be a reimagining of the franchise, but was later announced to be the 6th installment following the same pattern of storytelling. The movie was released in the United States on May 16, 2025. A college student constantly gets nightmares from the 1960s, wherein she sees a tower collapsing. She figures this was a nightmare that she had inherited from her grandmother. Back then, her grandmother made use of her premonition and saved the lives of a group of people. Now, after years, her granddaughter Iris starts having visions of her family perishing, forcing her to take action and secure her family's bloodline. The story begins in 1968, where Iris and her fiancé Paul are attending the inaugural ceremony of the Skyview Restaurant Tower. As they dance and make merry, Iris gets a premonition of a deadly accident, where the shard of a chandelier hits the glass floor where the guests were dancing, and a leak from the gas heater triggers an explosion, killing everyone. After 5.5 decades, Iris' granddaughter Stephanie gets nightmares of the same collapse. Unable to suffer the trauma, she returns home to investigate her nightmares and finds her father Marty and estranged brother Charlie at home. Stephanie, along with her brother, goes to meet their maternal uncle and aunt, namely Howard and Brenda, who were parents to Eric, Julia, and Bobby. Here, Stephanie learns that Iris was an extremely overprotective mother, who later isolated herself, making Stephanie's mother Darlene abandon the family. Aunt Brenda brings out letters that were sent to them by Iris from her cabin in the woods. When they go to meet her, they learn from their terminally ill grandmother about the heroic tale of how she saved the guests and her husband by telling them about her premonition and disrupting Death's plan. The guests were evacuated at the right time and escaped Death. But what she thought was the end really wasn't, because Death chased them, killing the survivors of the collapse and their descendants, since they were not destined to be born. Iris' fiancé Paul died later in an accident, which drove her into documenting the deaths in a book. Iris hands over the book to Stephanie to prove she was right about her premonitions. As she does that, a sudden chain reaction outside makes a weather vane hit Iris, taking her life. When Stephanie meets her reclusive mother Darlene at Iris' funeral, she confronts her about being absent from their lives. She goes back to reading the book Iris had given her and makes a note of the initials JB. Shortly after, during a family barbecue, Uncle Howard slips and falls underneath a lawnmower that ends with his gruesome demise. That same night, Death visits Eric's tattoo shop as it catches fire, but he survives due to his leather clothing. As Eric gloats about escaping Death to Stephanie, her cousin Julia slips into a trash can that sends her into a garbage truck, crushing her to death. The family figures Death was at it and would wipe out their family. While Marty and Brenda were spared since they weren't directly part of the bloodline, Eric and Brenda's love child, Darlene, suggest they go meet JB, who turns out to be William Bloodworth. William admits he was present when the tower had collapsed. He was a child and suggests there were only two ways to cheat Death. One was to die and get revived, and the other way was to take another life. So the family gets into the act of planning to cheat Death. Bobby, who had a nut allergy, gobbles down excessive nuts to die of the allergy, while Eric keeps a wheelchair handy to rush him to the ER as soon as Bobby's condition gets serious. The plan goes south, since Eric's body piercing causes an MRI to malfunction, killing him, while a vending machine spring claims Bobby's head. Horrified, the trio Stephanie, Charlie, and Darlene run to take refuge at Iris's. On the way, their RV crashes, and Stephanie's seatbelt gets jammed as she rams the RV into the water. She drowns while the cabin explodes due to an orchestrated chain of reactions. While Charlie saves Stephanie, Darlene meets her death against a falling lamppost. A few days later, as the siblings think about celebrating their survival, they figure that Stephanie had drowned but wasn't dead. Therefore, she wasn't revived from death. At that moment, a train from a nearby rail line derails, resulting in a series of logs falling over Stephanie and Charlie, killing them. This movie made my list because of the concept of Bloodlines, which seemed unique. It's scary and horrific to watch death go after not just the survivors, but also the descendants. Number 4. Final Destination 3, 2006. Fun but formulaic. Final Destination 3, the supernatural thriller, was released in February 2006. It was directed by James Wong and written by Glenn Morgan, the same duo behind the first 2 films in the franchise. However, creator Jeffrey Reddick was not involved in this installment. The movie stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ryan Merriman. The plot follows high school student Wendy Christensen, who experiences a premonition just before boarding a massive roller coaster ride named The Demon. Read Devil's Ride. She's visiting an amusement park in Pennsylvania with her friends, Jason Wise, her boyfriend, Carrie Dreyer, her best friend, Kevin Fisher, Carrie's boyfriend, and others. In her vision, the ride malfunctions when a freak accident involving a camcorder causes the hydraulics to fail, leading to a catastrophic derailment. Wendy panics and tries to warn her friends, urging them to get off the ride and save themselves. Some listen, but the inevitable cannot be avoided. The roller coaster crashes, killing many. What follows is a series of pattern killings targeting the survivors, as Wendy realizes that their real stalker is none other than death itself. This movie earns its spot on our list for its unique roller coaster accident, which taps into the universal fear of amusement park rides going horribly wrong. The terror feels unsettlingly real and bone-chilling. One particularly memorable scene involves 2 students meeting a gruesome fate in a tanning bed mishap, an unexpectedly creative and shocking death sequence. Imagine being burned alive in a tanning salon. While the film maintains the signature chills and thrills of the franchise, it lacks an inventive solution or hack to stop the deaths. The added train crash sequence makes it feel like the story is stuck in a loop, leaving viewers waiting for a more definitive resolution. Ultimately, Final Destination 3 stays 100% true to the franchise's formula, but leaves little room for innovation. Number 5. Final Destination 4, 2009. The absolute worst. The 4th installment of the Final Destination series fell flat with audiences due to a weak script. Directed by David R. Ellis and written by Eric Bress, the same team behind Final Destination 2, the film stars Bobby Campo, Chantel Van Santen, and McKelty Williamson. The plot follows college student Nick O'Bannon, who's on a semester break and attending an auto race at McKinley Speedway with his girlfriend Lori Milligan and their friends Hunt Wynorski and Janet Cunningham. While watching the race, Nick has a premonition of a disastrous crash, where multiple cars pile up on the track, sending debris flying into the grandstands, causing the front stretch to collapse. Panicked, he causes a commotion, frantically warning people to move away. In the chaos, he gets into a brawl, unintentionally prompting several people, including his friends, to leave the stadium. Shortly after, one of the spectators, Nadia Monroy, scolds the group for their reckless behavior, only to be suddenly beheaded by a flying car wheel. As more tragic incidents unfold, Nick realizes they are once again at the mercy of death. This film ranks at the bottom of our list for a couple of reasons. First, while it was the first installment to use 3D, the effect did little to enhance the visuals of the deaths or the central premonition. Secondly, the performances of the cast felt lackluster. Final Destination movies are known for their gripping, anxiety-inducing openings that set the tone for the chaos to follow, but this installment failed to deliver on that front. Marvelous verdict. Final Destination will always remain a franchise that broke the stereotypical horror genre, making it one of the best franchises. It had its share of hits and misses. Our list captures them as exhaustively as possible. But before we conclude, this is not our Final Destination, since we have much more to share and a long way to go with all of you. Until then, stay tuned! And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.